Right, so today on the podcast, I'm joined by a special guest. Her name is Roxie Goldbey. How are you doing?
Hi, good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. Not doing too
Good,
bad.
good, good.
So, for people that mightn't know you, then tell us a little bit about yourself.
Right, so I'm Roxie Goldbey. Everybody might start to know me now as the famous Mary Bridget with Stevo Timothy, Farmer Michael's daughter. I'm the daughter on screen and I'm Kathleen off screen. But
Yeah.
I've also started my own little podcast called the Roxie Horror Picture Show.
Hmm.
So
And
that's
it's
me.
doing very well. And
Yes,
just a
yes.
little bit about Steve-O before we kick into you. How did you guys meet?
Right. So basically we kind of knew each other but didn't know each other. We grew up in the same estate.
Okay.
And he was very, very good friends with my uncle. But he had up a thing, basically asking for someone to play a new character in his thing. And I was literally just on Instagram seeing it. I went, go on for the crack. He says, go on, I'll do it. Straight away, I got the message. Are you serious? I says, yeah. So we met that Sunday, literally just done a skit there and then. He just told me, right, you're Mary Bridget, you're my daughter. You want me to meet your boyfriend? Go. We pressed record, we put it up, and it was a hit.
And a lot of people that you know, obviously up there, would have seen it straight away, did they?
Yeah.
And what was the reaction like?
Well, I worked in Dunn's at the time and I was on the deli. So a lot of people are coming up going, don't want to ask you, but are you Mary Bridget? And I got really embarrassed. And I was just like, no, I'm Roxy. Sorry, no. I just didn't know how to react. Because I
Yeah.
didn't think it was that big of a thing. Like I knew him as Stevo. I didn't know him as Farmer Michael per se. So
Yeah.
it was just, I didn't realize how big people actually listened or watched his YouTube or Facebook or whatever. So it was really, really weird. Still
And
kind of weird.
for yourself, then, what do you have a background in any kind of drama or arts, or have you done anything like that before?
Well, growing up, I was always kind of thrown into modeling and dancing growing
Okay.
up. So I've done a lot of stage work and I've done a lot obviously in front of the camera and stuff. So it didn't really phase me because a lot of people have been asking, how are you comfortable in front of a camera? I put on an act. That's how I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Basically. And with dancing, I don't know, I've always kind of done it on stage in competitions and stuff. And so on stage, I'm very, very comfortable as well.
Yeah.
I have
When it
no acting though.
Yeah. When it comes to the stage, then, and you guys eventually do shows, like because you haven't got to because of the pandemic, how do you feel about that?
I'm actually kind of excited for it. Like
Yeah.
Stephen keeps saying, oh, you'd be nervous and all that. It'd be grand. I'm like, no, no. I mean, my last time I was on stage, I was portraying to be Pink from Moulin Rouge. So if I can get on stage and dance in my underwear in front of 750 people, I think it'd be grand sitting down chatting to them in front of 300 and odd people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I can't wait for all that to get going again. Like, it's shame at the moment with the way things are, and there's nothing really happening.
I know, like we were meant to be over in England in May and that got cancelled because of the pandemic. But as far as I know, tour dates are going to be starting February-ish 2022.
Yeah.
So it gives us plenty of time to build up more of the character and me to have a look at the scripts and everything to, I don't get prepare myself, I suppose.
Lots of time for practice, but I suppose the only way you're really going to know is by doing it itself live. Really,
Yeah, yeah.
it'll.
Literally just throw myself up on the stage.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how did the idea for your podcast come about?
I've always liked, might sound a bit weird, but I'm one of those that actually love watching like documentaries about serial killers. I started with Ted Bundy years and years and years
Yeah.
ago, and just it's fascinating. I just kind of loved that watching them, thinking, how could somebody actually do it? Not that I want to do it now, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It just, even their mindset, how a normal person, normal Joe Soap, you look at them and you're thinking, Jesus, he's normal. I mean, Ted Bundy, he was a good looking man. He was quite smart. He just happened to like murdering innocent women. Do you know? And that kind of, I was just got intrigued by it then. So more and more like Jeffrey Dahmer and all them, I just more and more just got interested in it. And I don't know if many people know, there's this woman I follow called Bailey Sarian. and she does similar thing over in America, and it's just so interesting. I thought, right, I'm going to give it a go, since there's no one really in Ireland so much doing it. Thought, right, I'll give it a go.
And is there much in Ireland for you to talk about, or do you think you'll bring it to an international level as well?
I want to keep with Ireland, and then as soon as I have Ireland over and done with, I'll start with the international. But what I've noticed with the channel, I don't just do serial killers, I do the ghost stories and the hauntings. A lot of people do prefer the haunted stories than they do serial killers. So
Yeah.
I've kind of been studying more towards the haunted houses and abandoned mansions than so much the serial killer.
There's a lot of them in Ireland as well.
Yeah, there is.
And what's the reaction been like online from the videos, from your own perspective?
Brilliant so far. I haven't had any negativity yet. Touch wood, I don't get it yet. But yeah, no, I haven't had much badness or anything. It's all been pretty positive. They've all kind of, everybody loves the Irish accent. And then talking about the whole mysterious parts of Ireland kind of brings people to it, and they just love it.
And in terms of people liking the accent and things like that, I don't know if you looked at your demographics, like where are people watching it? I'm sure it's not just in Ireland.
No, I've had a lot in Australia.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, a lot in Australia. So it's mainly Australian and England, a few in Ireland, but mainly Australia.
Yeah, there'll probably be a few in America, I think, watching as well. They love that over there.
In America, yeah, there has been a few, but it's mainly, oh God, I can listen to your accent all day. I'm like, oh Jesus, I can't. Do you know?
But the serial killer thing is very topical at the moment, even like with Netflix and the stuff that they're putting out.
Yeah,
you know,
there's a new thing now, Murder in the Mormons. That just literally popped up as I turned my Netflix on this evening.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give that a watch tomorrow. But yeah,
Did you see that Cecil Hotel thing?
I didn't watch all of it.
No.
I have the last episode to watch.
Well, what I took from it was like they told you everything in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 more episodes, and it's just recycle. Girl in the elevator.
Yeah, it kind of got hard to watch. See, I heard about that story years ago, and I remember watching it on YouTube. So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually reached out to the English couple that were in it to come on the podcast. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, and they got back to me and said, "Yeah, it'd be like 300 quid," and I was like, "No fucking way! Like you'd be forgotten about in 2 weeks. That's how Netflix works."
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
To be honest, it's already nearly forgotten about.
Yeah.
To be fair, like.
And like, you like the serial killer documentaries? Do you have an interest in horror movies?
Yes, I do.
Talk to me.
I remember the very first one I watched. I think I was about. Well, there was an incident when I was about 6. I'm terrified of clowns because of it. Basically, it.
Okay.
I hate that movie. But the first one I actually enjoyed that I found interesting, I was about 9 or 10, was Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street. And that got me engrossed. I remember my brothers and my sisters turning around going, "You're sick." I thought it was brilliant. And it's them sort of horror movies I like.
So you'd be the same as me, like you kind of like the cheesy horror films.
I do. Like, do you remember Pet Sematary and
Yeah.
Idle Hands? Do you remember Idle Hands years ago? I love them kind of cheesy ones. I'm not really into the whole Insidious and all that. Yeah, it's got a few frights, whatever. But
I'm not into the gore either. You know, the saws and stuff like that and Hostels. Yeah. They don't do it for me.
So you won't be for Chainsaw Massacre. Right?
That's not too bad.
Yeah, that was actually quite good. I like that as well. Yeah.
Chucky is my niche. I have 9 Chucky dolls around the house.
I love Chucky. I loved House Play. Brilliant film. And what was one I loved, which is so underrated, was Wolf Creek.
I haven't seen that.
Very, very good. It's
very
good. Based in Australia. Very, very good. Apparently it's based on a true story, but
it'd be nice to see proper Irish horrors coming out over here, wouldn't it?
It would actually.
But I think the only one that came out was Shrooms. Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was so bad.
Yeah, that wasn't very good.
So bad. It was so bad. I'd put that down as like the Blair Witch Project. Mm-hmm. It was so bad. Oh God, help us. Half us Irish cannot act.
So your favorite horror movie series would be Nightmare on Elm Street then?
Yeah, Good old-fashioned nightmare. Every Halloween, I'd pull out all the box sets and watch all of it. I just loved it. With it, basically what happened was I was about 5 or 6, myself and my brother. My dad always kind of every Sunday he'd have little horror moments, and he was watching it. And we snuck into the living room, and obviously we ended up watching it, terrified. But later on, the next day, we had a birthday party to go to, and what was at the flipping birthday party? Fecking
Red
clown.
balloons. Oh, I was going to say red balloons.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't even get a chance to look at the balloons. I hid underneath that table and stayed there for the whole party. Shaking. Hate clowns. Hate them.
I always ask people when Freddy versus Jason, or when Freddy comes up on the podcast, what their thoughts are on Freddy versus Jason. Did you like that movie?
I kind of did.
Oh, so did I. Like, I loved the cheesiness of it.
A lot of people were like, no, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I kind of did. Yeah, I did like it.
I'm still waiting for the sequel.
Yeah, I'm kind of afraid to watch the sequel. I don't know if it's going to go past that line where, you know, it's appropriate cheese to complete ruining everything.
Yeah. I don't think they've started filming it yet. It's just something that's kind of earwigged every now and then, but
yeah,
I definitely watch it anyway.
It's like that whole Avatar thing. There's a second Avatar for the last I don't know how many years.
I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, you never know when something's going to be filmed.
In terms of like researching and planning your podcasts, what goes into that, and where do you get your sources?
So basically, a lot of it is people message me saying, would you be interested in doing this, or giving me links to certain like haunted houses and stuff like that. So a lot of it's kind of been like that, but a lot of it is being other things of stuff I would have looked up and would have been interested even in the past. Yeah. Like my first episode I done on Carr Park, and the reason why I done that is because it was based in West Side, and we all grew up around that time when that happened. We were all very much around it. So I kind of remember like the RT crew outside the house and everything when that happened. And I was like, if I ever do anything, that would be my first episode.
And did you find that easier to talk about because you were kind of around it?
Oh, I barely even had to look it up. Everybody knows the story, like in Galway, especially in West Side, because it was literally it happened in the estate across the road from me. Yeah. So I was very much around at that point. And then like with the second episode and third, it was a two-parter. It was about Kieran Patrick Kelly. Mm-hmm. Basically, I was looking up serial murderers, Irish serial murderers, and he came up and I was like, oh my God, this fella was unknown for 30 years. And he literally got caught because he robbed some old man, thrown in a cell. He got annoyed by a man called William Boyd snoring so loud that he strangled him with the socks, killed him. When he was brought down for questioning, he goes, right, let me tell you, I've killed this fella, that fella, this fella. Like, he just let loose.
Just snapped.
Yeah, and he was doing it for the last 30 years. It was crazy. Can you imagine, like, because that long?
Because even like when you talk about murders, like there's an awful lot of like women that went missing, obviously in the mid 90s and stuff that hasn't been uncovered at all. Like, so who knows what will come out in the future?
Exactly. And when you hear his story, you're like, oh my God. It was, and the fact that there was a fella that wrote a book about it called The Underground Serial Killer, and he exaggerated the whole book. So you're reading this book and you're like, oh my God, he's even worse than what he was. And then you find out, no, he didn't kill that many people. He killed a substantial amount, but he glorified it. So you kind of had this fella, Jeff Platt, that was fully convinced he was in 500 gunfights. He killed 5 people. One of them he killed with a tire iron, but he got court-martialed. He was a junior detective. You don't get court-martialed. I'm pretty sure you have to be in the military. So that story just completely, I was like, I have to do that one.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
So there's lots of sources for you online to pull these things together.
Yeah, just reading a lot of books really and online. That's
and what's the plan going forward then with the show? Like, what have you got lined up without spoiling too much?
Well, I have Ireland's most haunted mansion being released tomorrow at 5 o'clock on my YouTube channel. And I have a few other hauntings coming up as well. I'm going to stick more with the hauntings. I see that I get a bigger response that way. A lot of people are more interested in the hauntings than they are in the serial killer aspect.
Do you think the serial killers are kind of too maybe close to home for people that might have been affected? And
I think so. I think so. And a lot of people love a good haunting, surprisingly. They love it. I mean, even when you're younger, do you remember, like, you turn up the lights and you run to your bed because you think something's going to grab you?
Yeah.
You know, everybody has that kind of, they like it.
And do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, that's a very good question. I do and I don't.
I didn't write that down.
Thank you. Thanks for that throw-out one.
Yeah.
That's a prize question. I do and I don't.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. There'd be sometimes there, you know, you hear a creak in, you know, in the house, whatever, and you figure out it's because your dog is after going over that loose floorboard. And then there's other kind of, you know, when you just have that feeling something's over your shoulder or something, like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so.
No, I've had that as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's the do and don't part of that.
Yeah. So, where's the best place to find you and all your content then? If you want to tell us where your channels are and everything.
So, you will catch me on Facebook as Roxanne Goldbey, on my Instagram at Roxie Goldbey, and then on YouTube it is the Roxie Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
That's the best place. Or Sir Stevo Timothy's pages, because that's where I seem to always be these days.
Yeah. Steve will get us in touch with you.
Yeah. No fear.
It was great to chat to you, and I look forward to seeing both of you on the road, and good luck with the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was great chatting.
No problem.
Thank you.